my comparison between the Samsung Galaxy S21 and the Xiaomi Mi 11 Ultra. Both of these phones calling themselves Ultra. But after this comparison, y'all tell me which one you think is Ultra to you. I already have my opinion, but we're going to take this one step at a time. Now, both these devices were released in 2021. Both of these devices are also flagship devices. Top tier, best of the best. Now, the S21 is unlocked for all carriers. That's going to be important to a multitude of people. However, the Mi 11 Ultra is not available on all carriers. It's only a GSM-only unlocked device. And in the States, in the United States, you're looking at maybe one or two carriers that you can use this on. So, that's a big advantage to the S21. Especially for those of you that, like a phone that's unlocked for all carriers. That's important. So that's something that Xiaomi should work on. Because if they did that, they would really give Samsung major competition. Seriously. That's how good Xiaomi phones are. For those of you that never use one, trust me when I tell you, if they was able to get a foothold in the States, they would give Samsung a serious run for their money. All right. Now, first thing we're going to talk about is the price. S21 Ultra, the lowest I've seen it for on Amazon.com was $609. And that's really cheap. Especially when it was first released, it was $1,200 plus tax. Now, I know some people trade in phones and get it, for a little less. But, just saying, renewed is pretty much like new. $609, that's a good price. I wouldn't have a problem paying that price if I really wanted this device. With the Mi 11 Ultra, now that, keep in mind, that's for 12 gigs and 128 gigs of storage. With the Mi 11 Ultra, now it's going to be 3 different price configurations only because there's 3 different variants. So let me give you those prices. So the Mi 11 Ultra, for 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage, you're looking at $650. For the 12 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of internal storage, you're looking at $719. And for the 12 gigs of RAM, 512 gigs of storage variant, you're looking at $800. Now, all 3 of those prices are seriously good, especially because when this phone was first released, it was close to $1,400, and that's not even counting tax. So the fact that the highest configuration for it, as far as 12 gigs of RAM, 512 gigs of internal storage, for $800, that is a serious good deal. But if you want to just go to 8 gigs, 256 gigs, you're looking at only $650. That's an excellent deal as well. If you don't need no more than 256 gigs of internal storage and you're good with 8 gigs of RAM. So you're going to get really good prices on both of these devices. All right, next, let's talk about, and I'm sorry, the Mi 11 Ultra, you can find this device on giztop.com. All right. Next, let's talk about the design. So, both have excellent designs in my opinion. Now, which design do I prefer over the other? And this is all subjective because this is just me. I prefer the design of the Mi 11 Ultra. Why? That secondary display, as you can see, and it's just so different. Excuse me, y'all. It's so different. You'll never see another device on the, you won't see anybody walking around with this device. You just won't, because half the time nobody's even heard of it. I'm talking about mostly, where I live, But the S21 Ultra, this is common because it's Samsung. And this is a really great design too. Now, I have a case on. It's just easier for me to handle the device. But this is an excellent design. Stealthy black. You got those, cameras on the back. But you're not going to see nobody walking around with this device. With that camera set up in the back, you're not going to see that. See that secondary display? That is so unique. I love this design. So when it comes to design for me, I'm going with the Mi 11 Ultra only because there's nothing like it on the market. It's just so different. And to me, it'll get people's attention. It may not be maybe as sexy looking as maybe the S21 Ultra, but I would choose it over the S21 Ultra only because it just looks so different. But like I said before, that's subjective. Next, let's talk about build quality. So with the S21 Ultra, you have Gorilla Glass Victus on the front and the back with an aluminum frame, okay? And you also have a frosted back. With the Mi 11 Ultra, you have Gorilla Glass Victus on the front and a ceramic back. So with both, you're getting excellent build quality. Now, no frosted back with the Mi 11 Ultra. It has a glossy back. So this is a fingerprint magnet. This is not. Now, which one has the best overall build quality to me? I'm going to say the Mi 11 Ultra only because it has a ceramic back, and that's stronger than Gorilla Glass Victus. But both feel great in the hand, and both feel very, very premium. But when it comes to just fingerprints, you're going to be better off with the S21 Ultra if you use it without a case. Now, most people put cases on their phone. I know I do, because even though this has a frosted back, I still find myself, I can't really navigate the phone. It just gets slippery. Maybe because my hands are just drier than most people's hands. Like if you have hands that are a little bit more moist, you'll probably be able to grip it a little bit better. But for me, my hands are dry, very dry. So most phones I cannot navigate without a case. And a case makes it just feels a little thicker, a little bit bigger to me. I know it just works better for me with a case. But build quality is stronger on the Mi 11 Ultra, but both build quality is great on both devices. Next, we'll talk about button placement. So button placement on both are identical. What I mean by that, S21 Ultra, all the buttons on the right. Mi 11 Ultra, all the buttons on the right. So for me, button placement is excellent on both. I prefer having all my buttons on the right side of the device, and they're both easily reachable, especially the power button. Mi 11 Ultra, boom, right here, no stretching, no nothing, just right here, no problem. S21 Ultra is just a tad higher than the Mi 11 Ultra, but it's still, I don't have to do any hand gymnastics trying to reach it. I don't really have to stretch, really. I mean, it's just a tad bit higher than that of the Mi 11 Ultra, but button placement on both is excellent. Next, let's talk about always on display. As you can see, both have an always on display. They both are great. Samsung's always on display is great. Now, the thing that takes this to another level, well, what's important to me is that you can always see the fingerprint sensor. As you can see, you can't see that on the Mi 11 Ultra. That's important to me, that you can always see the fingerprint sensor, so I don't have to guess where it's at. Also, when you tap on this, I'm sorry, let me see. I always seem to get that wrong. You tap on the lock screen, and you get these other widgets. As you can see, you control your media. You can see your calendar if you have any events going on, your alarm, current temperature outside, your Bixby routines, and screen time. So I like having these extra settings. And of course, you could change how bright the always on display is. And of course, you can use a lot of different clock configurations. Also, you can use a picture for your always on display with the Samsung. Mi 11 Ultra, I like it a lot too. You can use it with super wallpapers. I'm sorry, I don't usually use the super wallpapers because I like to see a different wallpaper every time I open my phone, so I'm not using the super wallpapers. But the super wallpapers actually take this always on display to another level. But I do like this this always on display. I do like it. It's unique. You can change. It's customizable, but it's not quite as customizable of that of the Samsung. And I just like Samsung's always on display a little better, especially because you could always see the fingerprint sensor. But I like both of them. They both make great always on displays. Next, let's talk about Face Unlock. Now, there's not a whole lot to talk about when it comes to Face Unlock. Both of them have it, of course. But the face unlock on the Samsung is just not always on point. Like sometimes it just don't read my face. I have no idea why. It just don't. But it seemed like it's a little bit better on the S21 Ultra as opposed to my Note 20 Ultra. But it's still not 100% accurate. It's just not. With the Mi 11 Ultra, this face unlock is ridiculous. It's 100% accurate. And also, I just found out something today. Now, y'all gonna trip when y'all hear this. This thing could read my face even with a mask on. Seriously, I tell you no lie. I wish I could really show you, but I can't. But I actually put a mask on. It opened right up. I put my hand over my nose and my mouth, and so it could only see my hand and just my eyes. It opened up. I took a black t-shirt that I had on, put it over my mouth and my nose. The phone still opened up. So you know what that's telling me? That's telling me that not only does this thing have a great face unlock, but it almost seems like it has a built-in iris sensor, because the only thing it's reading is my eyes and it still opens. So that's pretty awesome, and that's something that Samsung used to have on their devices, the iris sensor with the Note 9. But this thing could literally open with just seeing my eyes. That's awesome. And the lift awake, if you use the lift awake on this phone, you'll never have a chance to put your finger on the fingerprint sensor. It's going to open immediately. And this is 100% accurate and super fast. So Mi 11 Ultra definitely has the best face unlock, hands down. Next, let's talk about the in-display fingerprint sensor. Now, both of them have an in-display fingerprint sensor, as you can see there on the Samsung. With the Xiaomi, you got to move the phone or you got to double tap and you'll see the fingerprint sensor. Both fingerprint sensors are really, really good. And however, they're a little different. With the Samsung Galaxy S21, you have an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor. So it's a little bit more secure. But the Mi 11 Ultra is also secure as well, but they use an optical fingerprint sensor. Now, Samsung's is okay. As you can see, it's not slow by any means, but there's no haptic feedback, meaning no vibration, no animation, but it does work, as you can see it. Okay? Now, let me show you how it looks on my Xiaomi. Now, I got to keep it like this because I got it set for lift awake, so you can see how fast that was. It's just touch, and everything just pops right open. There's no holding it down. This just tap. Pops right open. So I like the fingerprint sensor on here better. And the reason why, if you see real low, look, you see the animation. I don't know if you saw it. Did you see the animation? Let me show it to you again. There's a little animation, and there's definitely haptic feedback. You can feel a little vibration. So the fingerprint sensor is actually, for me, I like it better on the Mi 11 Ultra, but both are great. Next, let's talk about dual stereo speakers. Both have dual stereo speakers. Both of these speakers on both these phones are great. Now, with the Samsung, the S21 Ultra has dual stereo speakers tuned by AKG with Dolby Atmos, and they sound absolutely great. You have your speaker down here at the bottom and your speaker coming through the earpiece. With the Mi 11 Ultra, you also have dual stereo speakers tuned by Harman Kardon. But you have a speaker at the bottom and you have a separate speaker at the top, as you can see right here. Not through the earpiece. The earpiece is separated. So you have two separate speakers, will give you better all distribution of sound. But in my testing, and I've tested it, and I was a little surprised, the S21 Ultra speakers are a little bit better. They have a little bit better, fuller sound, and they're actually louder than the Mi 11 Ultra. And I was surprised, but I'm just going to keep it real for y'all. The speakers on the S21 Ultra sound better than that of the Mi 11 Ultra. But the Mi 11 Ultras does sound awesome. They're just not as loud, and the S21's Ultra is just a little bit more full. Next, let's talk about audio. So both have excellent audio through the USB Type-C port. And the S21 Ultra has a 32-bit hi-fi DAC. And the Mi 11 Ultra has a 24-bit hi-fi DAC. Both are great, but I like the sound that comes out of the Mi 11 Ultra, a little bit more than that of the Samsung S21 Ultra, but both are awesome. You're going to really enjoy your music and your movie content with both of these devices. Next, let's talk about the displays. Now, this is one of my most important and favorite things about any smartphone is the display. Now, I know I just saw a poll on YouTube just recently about what's the most important thing to most people about a phone, and most people said the battery. Now, don't get me wrong, the battery is very important because if you don't have no juice, then the phone is dead. But for me, my favorite and most important for me is a beautiful display, because that's what you're going to be looking at all the time. Now, if you have really fast charging, depending on what type of phone you get from whatever manufacturer, you can charge up your phone really, really fast, even if you get it down. But my display got to be on point, because LCD, IPS displays, I hate them. It has to be POLED or AMOLED, where the blacks are super black. You have very vibrant, punchy, sharp colors. That's why I just have to have AMOLED or POLED. And both of these displays are excellent. S21 has a 6.8-inch Quad HD Plus dynamic AMOLED display with HDR10 Plus, 120 Hz refresh rate, and a pixel density of 515 and 1500 nits peak brightness. With the Mi 11 Ultra, you also have a 6.8-inch Quad HD Plus Super AMOLED display with HDR10 Plus, also 515 pixel density, 120 Hz refresh rate, but 1700 nits peak brightness. So the Mi 11 Ultra definitely gets brighter. And to me, the better display is definitely on the Mi 11 Ultra when I'm viewing content, meaning videos and movies and things like that. They just look sharper, clear, more like somewhat close to like the OnePlus 8 Pro with that motion graphic smoothing, because they also have a setting where you can make it a lot more smoother. Now, still not to the level of the OnePlus 8. That's the best display I have on any smartphone, honestly. It's just, that display on that device is amazing, especially when you're viewing content, because when you put on that motion graphic smoothing, it takes looking at media on that device to a whole nother level. But this comes in comes in second. So the better display is on the Mi 11 Ultra, but both of them are beautiful, and you could use the Quad HD with 120 Hz refresh rate on both. Oh, I also forgot to mention, you have the punch hole in the middle with the S21 Ultra. Now, that's why I prefer it, because it's in the middle. But some people don't like it in the middle. Some people want it off to the side. So you can't even see it on the Mi 11 Ultra at the moment because the black wallpaper, so you can't see it, but it's off to the left. Some people like it out of the way. So it depends on you. I prefer it in the middle. But both of them are pretty small, and you don't really notice them when you're viewing content. Next, both phones are IP68 water and dust resistant, so you don't have to worry about any problems when it comes to water damage. As long as you don't go more than 5 feet for 30 minutes underwater, you'll be fine with both of these devices. Next, both have the one-handed mode. Now let me show you about this one-handed mode. Now I'll show you on the Samsung first. You swipe down. Now I prefer the one-handed mode on the Samsung better, because it just makes the whole display smaller, and you could still easily navigate the whole display. See, the whole display you can navigate, and I like that. And you can move it from left to right, and you press it and it goes back big. Now Xiaomi changed theirs, because with the Mi 10 Pro, the Mi 10 Pro did it exactly like Samsung's, but they gave you 3 different sizes, which I really liked. But for some reason, when they updated their software, they took that away and they gave you this instead, like LG's. I don't like this, because you're only interacting with half of the display as opposed to the whole display with the S21 Ultra. So I don't like this. Some people may like this because they feel like they can reach up here, but to be honest with you, look, you could bring everything down. I mean, not Not as low as you can with Samsung with the One UI, but I mean, you could bring everything down low enough to get your to see your notifications. But Samsung has it where all of these you can literally bring all the way down. So I don't know why people, when I see reviews, they're like struggling trying to reach their hands up there. All you do is just scroll down again. Look, all your settings come all the way to the bottom. So I don't know why anybody be trying to stretch their hand saying the phone is too big. That's why they call it One UI, because they bring everything down low where you can easily reach it. And plus, you have one-handed mode, so you could just make the whole screen smaller. So nobody should be complaining about the phone is too large. I can't reach everything. All you got to do is use one-handed mode. I think most people don't remember that Samsung has a one-handed mode, but if you didn't, you know now. So there's no excuse saying that the phone is too big. One UI brings everything down. Also, you can make the whole display smaller. So I like the implementation of the one-handed mode on the S21 Ultra better than that. I mean, I like the one-handed mode better on the S21 Ultra than that of the Mi 11 Ultra. Sorry about that. All right, next. Both support Wi-Fi 6. Both have great phone call quality. Now, I know that's something I normally don't mention, but the phone call quality on both these are excellent, beyond reproach. Speaker, everything. Nobody ever complained about they couldn't hear me. Excellent phone call quality. Both also are 5G compatible. So you have 5G on both these phones. Next, let's talk about battery life. Both of these devices have a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. And with moderate to heavy usage, I can get a day and a half on both devices. If I use the phone just moderately, I can get 2 days on the Mi 11 Ultra. I cannot get 2 days on the S21 Ultra. But moderate to heavy, I can get 2 days. So the battery life on both are impressive. The difference is the standby time. When it comes to standby time, the Mi 11 Ultra is definitely much better than that of the S21 Ultra. I'll lose overnight. I'm losing about 2% battery life, sometimes just 1%. With the S21 Ultra, I could lose up to 8% battery from 100% down to like 92%. So I don't know why Samsung can't figure out their standby time issue, but they still haven't figured it out yet. So when it comes to standby time, Mi 11 Ultra is much better, but overall battery life, both of these are great. And that's with me using 100% brightness, which I use, the always on display at 100% brightness, and getting all of my notifications, everything in real time. I get over 500 notifications every day. I don't game, but I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I watch a lot of regular videos. I listen to a lot of Spotify, and so I use my phone really heavy. So battery life on both is really great. Next, let's talk about battery charging speeds. With the S21 Ultra, you're only getting 25 watt fast charging, 0 to 100% in between an hour 15 and an hour and 20 minutes, which to me is extremely slow for a phone calling itself an Ultra device. With the Mi 11 Ultra, you're getting 67 watt super fast charging, 0 to 50% in 15 minutes. I'll say it again, 0 to 50% in 15 minutes and 0 to 100% in 36 minutes. That's fast. That's Ultra, not this. That's a joke. 25 watt? No. S20 had 45 watt. Why did they take 45 watt charging away from their next smartphone? From the 20 to the 21 and you reduce it down to 25? Makes no sense to me. That's not Ultra. Next, let's talk about wireless charging. Both have wireless charging. Samsung is using 15 watt wireless charging, which is disgraceful. 2 hours and 42 minutes to fully charge this device. That's pathetic. With the Mi 11 Ultra, also 67 watt super fast charger from 0 to 100% in 39 minutes. That's Ultra. Next, let's talk about reverse wireless charging, aka power share, where you could take another device, put it on the back of your device, and charge it. You could also charge a smartphone device. You could also charge wireless earbuds. That's what reverse wireless charging is all about. But unfortunately, with the S21 Ultra, 4.5 watts. That's sad and pathetic because the S20 Ultra gave you 9 watts. So they reduced the reverse wireless charging as well, which makes no sense. Mi 11 Ultra, 10 watt reverse wireless charging. So if you decide to charge a phone or whatever, a smartwatch or a wireless charging case, you're going to charge it a lot faster with the Mi 11 Ultra. That's Ultra. 10 watt reverse wireless charging, 67 watt wired charging, and 67 watt wireless charging. That's Ultra. There's nothing Ultra about any of this stuff as far as the battery charging speeds with the wired, the wireless, or the reverse. It's pretty pathetic. Next, let's talk about RAM. Both of these devices have 12 gigs of RAM. Now, there is a 16 gig variant of the S21 Ultra. No 16 gig variant of the Mi 11 Ultra. I think 16 gigs is way overkill. Honestly, you don't need 16 gigs of RAM. But this starts out at 8 gigs, not this one, but they do have an 8 gigs of RAM variant, and then the next variant is just 12 gigs. The other two variants are 12 gigs of RAM. Now, when it comes to RAM management, the Samsung 21 Ultra is way better. I mean, vastly superior to that of the RAM management on the Mi 11 Ultra. Now, I'm talking about my device. Now, if anybody else out there is having issues with the RAM management, let me know. But every time I talk about the RAM management with this device, nobody ever says anything about having issues with it. So maybe it's just my unit. But the RAM management with this device is not good. Samsung's RAM management is excellent, A+, no issues whatsoever. Next, let's talk about internal storage. Samsung S21 Ultra base internal storage is 128. That's what I have here. Now, they do have a 256 gig variant and a 512 gig variant. With the Mi 11 Ultra, I have the 12 gig, 512 gigs of internal storage. But they start out at 256. So it's 8 gigs, 256, 12 gigs of RAM, 256, and 12 gigs, 512 gigs of internal storage. So 512 gigs of storage, 128. But like I said again, the base internal storage for this device is 256, which is what this should have been. The base storage should have been 256, not 128 gigs, especially with the ability to shoot at 8K at 24 frames per second, and for that price. Next, when it comes to storage, neither one of these devices offer expandable storage, and that's something that Samsung has always offered on their devices up until this device, the S21 Ultra. That's when they removed it. And the Mi 11 Ultra, I've had the Mi 10 Pro, that didn't have expandable memory either, but I do have a device that they make that has expandable storage, so I don't know why they wouldn't put it on their flagship phone. Makes no sense to me. Next, both devices are loaded with features. I'm not going to even go there because both of them got a bunch of features. Samsung got tons of features. Tons of them. They was always known for a lot of features. Mi 11 does too. There's so many things that you could use, so many things you could change. I love them both, but I'm just really so much more used to the features on the Samsung because I've had Samsung devices for years. But I do like the features that come with the Mi 11 Ultra. I'm still exploring this device. There's just so much you can do with this device. It's amazing. Now let's talk about performance. Performance on both of these devices are great. They really are. No issues with either one. However, the Mi 11 Ultra is a faster and smoother device in my experience. This device, the touch sampling rate is ridiculous. Everything is instantaneous when you are touching anything. Everything is just instant. pop right open. Like just like no time spent. Like everything, as you can see, just pop right open. Everything is fat, and it's just super smooth. Going in and out of apps, super smooth. Now, I'm not saying that the S21 is slow, but the touch sampling rate is just not quite as fast as the... Now, this is fast. Now, it's opening up pretty quick. But it does open up everything a little bit faster on the Mi 11 Ultra. And it's smooth, don't get me wrong, but this, to me, in my experience, is smoother and faster. But you can't go wrong with either. Next, let's talk about processing power. Both come with the Snapdragon 888. So you're getting a top-level processor in the Snapdragon 888. Next, let's talk about software. Both of these devices are using Android 12, and both of these devices are going to get upgraded to Android 13. And also, both of these devices are going to get upgraded to Android 14 with 2 more years of software updates. Now, I believe this one is going to get 3 more years security updates, and the Mi 11 is going to get, I think, let me see, because they said 4 years, and this is only a year old. Okay. Yeah, so both are going to get 3 more years of security updates. So you're going to be good to go with both of these devices when it comes to software support. Special features. Now, I'm only going to mention 2 on each device that are worthy of mentioning. With the S21 Ultra, this device is S Pen capable. This is the first S series device where you can use an S Pen. Of course, you can't put it in the device, and you have to buy that separately, but you will be able to use the S Pen on this device. Also, Samsung DeX, being able to have a laptop experience with this phone, with say your smartphone, a monitor, your computer. I love Samsung DeX. I love that. That's one of my favorite features on this device. With the Mi 11 Ultra, you're getting an IR blaster. What does that mean? That means a universal remote control. As you can see, I got 4 TVs hooked up. You click on one, you see that remote control, and it's not only for the TV. You click back over here, go to plus, and you can see all of these different things you can use with the universal remote control. So it's not just about televisions. Also, the secondary display. This is not just for your time, date, battery percentage. You can also take videos and photos with this secondary display. You could also receive your notifications, text messages, and also control your media, all with this secondary display. So this is definitely not a gimmick here. And that's one of the biggest features of this device, is that secondary display, and I absolutely love it. Love that. Next, let's talk about operating systems. So with the S21 Ultra, uses One UI 4.0, and with the Mi 11 Ultra, is using MIUI 13.1. So they both use their own skin. They both, setup is a lot different. Let me show you. This is Samsung. That's how that looks. And MIUI is set up like this. Is a little different. Now, when it comes to UIs, I definitely prefer the UI of the Samsung. It's a lot more organized. MIUI is, to me, a little all over the place. I mean, they have been making some improvements, but Samsung's UI is just way more organized, and it's just a lot easier to navigate, in my opinion. But I like them both. All right, last thing, let's talk about the cameras. Now, the S21 has a 108 megapixel wide, 10 megapixel periscope telephoto lens, a 10 megapixel telephoto lens, a 40 megapixel selfie wide, and with the rear cameras, you can shoot at 8K, 24 frames per second, 4K at 60, and 1080p at 60. And with the selfie, it shoots at 4K at 60 and 1080p at 60. Now, the rear video, it can shoot up to 20 times zoom. So you can zoom in with video 20 times. I don't know how clear it is because I haven't tested it on this device, but 20 times zoom is impressive. Now, with the camera modes for the S21, you're getting 15 different shooting modes. Getting portrait mode, pro video, Bixby Vision, AR zone, night mode, food mode, single take, panorama, super slow motion, hyperlapse, portrait video mode, and director's view. All right. Now, the cameras on this device are great. They really are. No issues with the cameras, especially when I zoomed in 30 times and it was still clear. That's impressive. 30 times zoom on this, it's impressive. All right, so the video capabilities and the photos are great on this device. No question about it. Even the night photos are great on this device. All right, and also the selfie is excellent on this device. Now, you can refer back to my full review of the S21 Ultra if you want to see the pictures and video that I took with this device. Now, with the Mi 11 Ultra, let's look at those cameras real quick. So you got a 50 megapixel wide, a 48 megapixel periscope telephoto lens, 5 times optical zoom, and 120 times hybrid zoom. I forgot to mention that you can zoom in with the photos 100 times on the S21 Ultra. You can zoom up to 100 times on the S21 Ultra. I forgot to mention that. It's hybrid zoom. But with the Mi 11 Ultra, you can zoom even further with 120 times hybrid zooms. So you can see the moon on this. You could go even closer on the moon with the Mi 11 Ultra. Now, you also get a 48 megapixel ultra wide and a 20 megapixel wide selfie camera. The rear camera shoots at 8K 24 frames per second, 4K at 60, and 1080p at 60. The selfie camera shoots only in 1080p at 60 frames per second, no 4K. That's the most disappointing thing about this device, is there's no 4K on the front camera. I don't know why Xiaomi won't put a 4K capable camera on their selfies, because my Xiaomi Mi 10 Pro also only 1080p at 60. So I don't know why they would call this an Ultra and there's no 4K on the front camera. Plus, it's a flagship device, so there's no reason why they should not have 4K capability on the front camera. You don't have to worry about with the Samsung, because you got 4K on the front and the back when it comes to the cameras. All right, now with the camera modes for the Mi 11 Ultra, you have 17 modes. So you have 2 more modes than that of the S21 Ultra, which is a very versatile camera system. So with the Mi 11 Ultra, you get Pro Photo Mode, Pro Video Mode, Portrait Mode, Night Mode, Multicam Mode, 50 megapixel, Short Video, Panorama, Documents, Vlog, Slow Motion, Time Lapse, Sticker Avatars, Movie Effects, AI Watermarks, Long Exposure, Supermoon, and Clone. And I already talked about what you could do with that rear display. You could shoot photos and videos with the rear display. And I'll tell you right now, and I'm going to be honest, and I did 2 videos about the photo and video quality of this phone. It is better, in my opinion, than that of the S21 Ultra. The video and the photos are better to me on the Mi 11 Ultra than that of the S21 Ultra in every aspect. I went to my son's graduation, I'm going to be done, and I zoomed in 15 times on the video. Now, it does get a little shaky because that's just normal when you're zooming in that much on a device like a smartphone as opposed to a regular camera. Now, it was a little shaky, but I got steady hands. At 15 times zoom on the video, it was still crystal clear. And if you watch my quick video on that, I think that video was a little over 5 minutes long. You'll be able to see that for yourself. I was flabbergasted. I was amazed how clear that was at maximum zoom. So these cameras on here are absolutely incredible. They're amazing. I'm not saying these are not great too, but these cameras are next level. In my opinion, they're just next level. All right. Now, if it comes down to it, which one would I choose if I had to choose one? Well, the only reason why I'm going to go with the Samsung S21 Ultra, not that I don't like this better, because I do prefer the Mi 11 Ultra over the S21 Ultra. Definitely, I prefer it. And the reason why I prefer this one over it, I'm going to tell you right now. The battery charging speeds are way faster. The display is better. The build quality is better. Okay? The photos and videos are better. You know, the UI experience is much faster. The animation is smoother. I like the face unlock better. The fingerprint sensor better. There's a whole lot about this phone I just like better. But with the S21 Ultra, the biggest thing, it's unlocked for all carriers, which is extremely important. And I need Samsung's One UI. It's just so many things on there I need. I love that Samsung Dex and Samsung Notes. I need that. And I'm so used to One UI. So the One UI is the main reason why I prefer the S21 Ultra over the Mi 11 Ultra. But if this was unlocked for all carriers, it's no question this would be my #1 device. No question about it. Because it just does so many things better than the S21. Plus it has an IR blaster and that secondary display on the back. But because it's unlocked for all carriers, and also I need Samsung Notes, and I just prefer the Samsung UI, then I would go with the S21 Ultra. But thank you very much for taking the time to view this content. I do appreciate it. I'll be trying to make these fast as I can, but I try to give so much information. I just can't do it super fast. So I hope you all appreciate it, and leave me a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more comparison videos like this. You all take care and stay safe, and I'll check you guys out in the next one. Peace.